Point of correction, it's Women in Real Estate, Kenya. I've come all the way from Kenya. Women in Real Estate Kenya is a group of women who came up together in the built environment and formed a society and a movement that encourages women and supports women in the built environment. So it's an aggregation of all kind of professionals. We have architects, we have planners, we have QSs, we have contractors, we have land surveyors, anyone in property management. So personally, I am an urban planner in Kenya, working as a consultant in Elie Consults, and also I'm a sustainability expert. So today, mtanisamehe kidogo kwa vile Kiswahili yenu itani. So my presentation today is about the circular economy in the built environment. So we will start by defining what is circular economy. Circular economy in the built environment is whereby, for a very long time, the built environment has been seen as a one-end user. Like, we always use the resources, we construct buildings, we exploit natural resources, it's the sand, it's the stones, cement, but it was never thought that we can use the same model and achieve resource efficiency and at the same time conserve our environment. So the circular economy in the built environment is all about how can we now start using resources, utilization of resources properly in a sustainable manner, conserve our environment through different methods, and also ensure that we have a complete, and also achieve economical, social, environmental benefits. So basically, in the circular economy, we have principles of circular economy, which we've been adhering or have been pushing people to adhere to. The first one being the reuse of materials, then optimization of supply chains needed and a number of needed materials, improving the planning stages and design stages, and also the construction stage, and also application of new eco-friendly technologies. So the built environment or the construction industry is an industry that has revolutionized so much, and we're using technology to try and achieve sustainability. So how are we going to achieve a circular economy in the built environment? Number one, we use the three basic ways of achieving sustainability, that is energy use. So we are looking into using more of renewable energy. We're also looking at the materials we use during our construction. And number three, how do we use the water in our buildings? So those are the three major ways, or the three major factors that we look at when you're looking at the circular economy. So if we are able to conserve energy, we're able to, if we're able to conserve our energy, we are able to manage our water, we are able to reuse, recycle our water, and also we carefully or pick the materials we use in our construction, then that way we are going to achieve a circular economy. The other thing we also need to look at is the waste. The built environment or the construction industry sector is a very huge contributor to waste, that is solid waste. And there are very many ways of reusing the waste from the construction industry that we have been able to achieve. So we've been able to, mostly it's usually when we demolish and when we are constructing, there are a lot of materials that are remaining. So nowadays we've come up with people who are very creative and have found a way of reusing and recycling these materials into other uses. So the tools, which tools do we use during the implementation of circular economy in the built environment? Number one, as I've mentioned, is the resource efficiency. The resources include the materials we use during construction and also during the planning stages of the buildings. Number two is the reuse and recycling. That one I've mentioned, of how we reuse and recycle everything in the building and construction. Then the modular construction. Modular construction is the prefabricated construction materials that nowadays are being used. We have the panels, the prefabs, all those kind of materials that save time and save the number of resources that you're going to use. Then we have energy efficiency, as I've mentioned. Renewable energy is what is recommended mostly. If a building achieves 60% of renewable energy use, the building is certified as a green building. Adaptability. Are we having, when we are planning or having concepts, are we planning for adaptability of our buildings? Can our buildings adapt to the climate change? Can they also create social, what is the social benefit that these buildings will create? So we are mostly creating cities and buildings for the people and with the people. So anytime we are planning, we should be planning for the people and for the people by the people or something of the sort. So when that is part of the adaptability of the built environment. The other thing is local sourcing. When we locally use the available materials, we save a lot. Instead, for example, if you look at, we can continuously innovate and critically think of what resources do we use. We can maybe replace, we've seen we are replacing certain materials that we used to import previously and locally sourcing materials in here. Like now, the biggest one is now people are shifting to timber. We've seen that timber is being used more than previously, just because we want to minimize the amount of concrete we use on our buildings. The other thing is life cycle assessment. Life cycle assessments are conducted to evaluate the environmental impact of the buildings. Normally, every time you come up with a concept in the built environment, it has to go through a thorough process of environmental impacts. The importance of having these environmental impact assessments done is to ensure that we are going to protect and also we are going to protect and preserve the environmental, the nature of the impacts that the buildings will have on the environment. By reducing them, we are going to achieve sustainability. So the other thing is regulation and standards. For example, what regulations and standards has your country formulated and implemented in terms of green building and in terms of circular economy? We've seen the whole movement of sustainability. So has your country started the formulation? Has it started implementing? So that's a question we should be asking ourselves. Then the circular business models. Remember that when we are talking about sustainability, there's an economic part of it. The economic impacts, are we designing buildings that also have an economic benefit? So the business models are very important. That is why nowadays you see a lot of master planning, a lot of city planning has the economic perspective of it. There are financial models behind every master plan that is done nowadays. If it doesn't achieve a certain percentage of cost-benefit analysis, then the project is, well, null and void. Then we have education and awareness. We have to be the advocates of the circular economy. We need to teach every person, even the layman person who's going to construct somewhere in the village, why is it important to have the circular economy implemented even on the smallest projects, the smallest scope of the project. Then the other thing is collaborations. Collaborations, we've seen the kind of collaboration and partnerships that have come up in terms of circular economy. In the built environment, we have donations, we have green funds, we have banks giving green loans, just as because your project is moving towards sustainability. Then also the innovation, technology. Technology is going to be the biggest impact that is going to be very impactful in the construction industry. Reason is, we've seen roads being constructed. A road that would have taken 10 years, for example, in Kenya, the Nairobi Expressway would have taken maybe 10 to 15 years to be constructed. But the expressway was constructed with less than 2 years because of the technology. Buildings nowadays, the more we adapt to the newest technology forms, the more we will have be impacting on the circular economy of the built environment. So what's the situation in the built environment? Currently, um, we have a lot of waste being generated in the construction industry, and that is why we want to campaign for the 3 Rs: reuse, recycle, and reuse, recycle, and reduce. This is even on the production and consumption sector. So when during the production, we also realize that most producers are the ones who generate waste. They create products that will necessitate for production of waste. So nowadays we are creating awareness on how the producers and consumers can reduce on waste management in the built environment. Distribution, collection. Then this is also by having circular economy models, like how there are various sectors in the circular economy, so we have to show, if it's like the waste management, you have to show a waste management plan. If it's about the economies and finances, we have to show the economic plan and the social plan, the impacts on on the people and the community. And then we have measures nowadays. We have air monitoring. Air is being monitored on. You can be able to monitor the air and noise pollution and see how to reduce them. The current challenges in the built environment in regards to circular economy. Of course, number one is the slow adaptation of technologies. We find that as much as we are calling ourselves digital, some of these technologies are still difficult to comprehend, and sometimes even there's slow adaptation. Of course, there's also the mentality that we don't need, there's a generation or a group of people who will feel the technology is trying to get rid of their jobs. But the sooner we start adapting to new technologies, we might be saving the world by just adapting to the technologies. The other thing is lack of available alternatives. Not every resource can be replaced. You know, not like we cannot find an option for, maybe there are tiles that cannot be replaced with more eco-friendly tiles. So we are having that challenge. The other thing is high costs. High cost of sometimes, like I was having a conversation with a client who had opted to buy the machines for the panels. So he was having a construction project, and he had opted to buy the panel making machine so that he does the panels himself, and then by that he was thinking that he will save more money. But sometimes you see the initial cost is too high for most people to afford it. Then the other thing is, of course, we are in Africa. In Africa, we are known, or rather maybe my country, Kenya, we are known for having the best policies. We have the best papers. We have, I don't know whether it's the same thing for Tanzania, we have the best written policies. Countries like Singapore and Malaysia took our policies, implemented them in their countries, and now they're way ahead. So I do not know how we will solve this problem of implementation of policies. It's a general problem across Africa, but we as policymakers, we as policy implementers, or we as the private sector need to find a way of forcing our governments to implement these policies. For example, now we have, everyone is talking about sustainability. I'm sure maybe, like in my country, we recently adopted the Sustainable Waste Management Act. I don't know which one is your most recent one here. But at the same time, most people didn't know about the act. And even some people are caught off guard that there's an act that is being signed and it's about sustainability and nobody knows about it. So we have quite a problem or a challenge in implementation of policies, and we have to figure it out here together. The other thing is a profit-driven industry. Everyone, or I don't know, in my country we call them the Kikuyu landlords, whereby the implementation of a project is driven by the profit someone is making, and they don't care of what mess they'll cause, you know? You tell them that you cannot put up 100 units in a 50 by 100 because of the implications of maybe solid waste management, liquid waste management, the water he will, there are no sewerage, or they know. So you tell them that you cannot put up these 100 units, but they completely refuse and say, we have to do the 100 units, because if we don't do the 100 units, I'm not making the amount of profit I would want. But environmentally, that project is not viable. So that's a major challenge. The other one is a lack of infrastructure, limited infrastructure. We have awareness and education. Most people are not aware of what is going on. And that is why now people are into digital content creation in terms of the industry. So you'll find a lot of people doing articles, trying to explain. But the question is, how many people read those articles? The other thing is access to finance. Access to finance is always a challenge. Of course, because of the interests that come with the loans, availability of grants. People do not know the procedure to take. They can take to acquire the grants. The other thing is the market demand. Sometimes there's low intake. We have very ambitious projects, but there's low intake. You find a very ambitious green building has been constructed, but it could not get enough tenants or something of the sort. Then the other thing is the social economic factors. Social economic factors is economic disparities in Kenya and also in most African countries. We have the high, middle, low income. So we cannot provide the same things, the same products to these three classes of income. So to overcome these challenges, it is essential for the governments to try and to invest in the infrastructure, education, and the policies. Then the other one was a few case studies of what other governments have done. We have a case study of Egypt and how it's adapted into green economic strategy, where they have they have actual policies and implemented them. They recycle, reuse, the use of local and secondary material. I think we've seen Egypt, every time Egypt showcases on the Big Five construction, you realize that they're using every of their raw material from their country. The other one is Morocco, still on waste management, value addition of local eco-friendly materials. We have Rwanda using sustainable and recyclable materials, energy efficiencies, and all that. So what opportunities lies within the circular economy? Number one, resource efficiency. Of course, if we look at what we have, we will not lack something that we can use. So there's an opportunity of resource efficiency. Then the other one is recycling and reuse. Waste is not waste. Waste is a resource. So if we are able to create a resource from the waste, we'll have achieved a lot in the construction industry. Then we have the modular construction, the kind of what models do we use in construction. So there's an opportunity that we can improve our models to contribute to the circular economy. Energy efficiency, as always, the renewable energy sources, solar, wind, hydro, all those. Then we have to come up with better technologies so that we are able to implement them into industry. And then the other thing, green building certifications. For example, I'm an edge expert. We are slowly convincing guys into having their buildings EDGE certified. We also have LEED. LEED is for the US, mostly in the UK, but in Africa we are mostly using the EDGE certification, but there are other certifications that are available for clients. The other one is government incentives. If the government is able to encourage certain policies, construction policies that favor the circular economy model, then we will have taken a further step forward. The other one is consumer demand. Study the market, know what the people want, then implement what the people want. And most of the time we skip a bit of the stage where we're supposed to be doing pre-vetting, pre-analysis of the market, and that way we end up with the wrong product in the wrong place. Or we end up with a very right product, but in the wrong place. So it is very important to carry out market assessments to ensure that we are feeding our consumers what they want. What's the future outlook? The future outlook of the circular economy. Number one, if you look at what is happening now, I think there are so many of these summits in every country, and we are trying to push a revolution. If every time we meet in such a gathering and we challenge our leaders that we need better policies, we need better policy implementations. At the end of the day, this movement will be so big that they will not afford to ignore us, you know? So that is one of the policy evolutions. Number two, innovation in materials. Every day, every second, somebody somewhere is seated somewhere trying to innovate, create a certain material. So innovation will be very big on the circular economy. Then the other one is circular business models. There are people, we've seen the rise of development managers. Development managers are basically us in the profession, but with the financial aspect. So every time I am brought for a project that I'm supposed to design a master plan, I will want also to do the economic perspective of it. So there will be more circular business models. And then the other one is education and awareness. This is creating awareness. Anyone who's passing there doesn't know what this summit is about, and he or she reads the poster outside there. That is part of education and awareness. His curiosity or their curiosity will lead them to getting inside here and listening to us. So there will be more, especially also in the digital age where people are forming, there's a lot of social media and all that. So education and awareness will also be a major revolution. So that marks the end of my presentation, and thank you.